My mother. Jose, man, you playing to win tonight, man. You sharp as a mosquito needle. What's going down? That's that crypto, see? They let a real crip up in the crypto ball. Bang, bang.
I detest people like Snoop Dogg and anything that he stands for when it comes to this throwing up gang signs and making, glorifying gang behavior. Okay, I don't agree with him even being able to perform this at all for the Trump inauguration or whatever. You know, even if Trump was in support of it, I don't like that either.
No.
Because I feel like we as black people have this dark cloud over our head for a reason, and this is the reason. The reason is because we glorify ignorance any chance that we get. Apparently, Snoop Dogg is performing. He's performing for Trump's inauguration. You know,
I mean, Rick Ross. Ross, Nelly. I think Soulja Boy.
Yeah. So everyone's like shocked and appalled. Well, the left shocked and appalled that Snoop Dogg is going to be performing for the inaugurational event. I think this is more of a power thing and not I actually like Trump. I don't think he actually wants Trump to be president. I just think that it's just a power thing.
Snoop Dogg went hard on Trump. He went as far to call everybody racist that was going to vote for him. He said he drew a line.
And was in 2016.
Right. This is when he's like, and then he got told, well, you know, at this interview, didn't you do the which thing you went to, the roast?
Yeah.
The Snoop Dogg roasted Donald Trump a few years before, and he's like, "Oh, I did that for money," and he just went on. Black people are bootlickers, and they're gonna vote for him. He just went on and on and on.
So ain't nobody gonna perform for Donald Trump, huh? Which one of you ass gonna be the first one to do it? I'm waiting. I'm gonna roast the out one of you ass for doing it. Which one of you gonna do it first? I'll be the one that performs for himself.
And we've been saying that, you know, I don't know why I'm the sellout because I'm a black conservative when you're sitting over here with Martha Stewart. Then he goes and performs, but he comes with he comes, not only does he come and shuck and jive, as he likes to say black conservatives do, he comes with a crip.
Oh, great.
With a gang member.
Yeah.
An old gang member that should know better after 50.
This is why I don't agree with them. This is why I don't like
still trying to play the role when your kids and you and your kids, 30 years he's been famous.
Far removed.
He has been living in gated white neighborhoods, and his kids go to private school. And this guy is trying to pretend like he's still a thug.
My mother. Jose, man, you playing to win tonight, man. You sharp as a mosquito needle. What's going down? That's that crypto, see? They let a real crip up in the crypto ball. Bang, bang.
Y'all, I just want to, okay, let's put this in perspective for a minute here outside of the Trump inaugurationist performing. I detest people like Snoop Dogg and anything that he stands for when it comes to this throwing up gang signs and making, glorifying gang behavior. Okay, I don't agree with him even being able to perform this at all for the Trump inauguration or whatever. You know, even if Trump was in support of it, I don't like that either.
No.
Because I feel like we as black people have this dark cloud over our head for a reason, and this is the reason. The reason is because we glorify ignorance any chance that we get. So when I see people like Amber Rose and Snoop Dogg all of a sudden trying to be part of, you know, I don't know, the conservative, as they say, movement or whatever, it makes me sick. Because I am not falling for the okie doke with them. I'm not. It's a complete farce. It's not real. These people are just phonies. It's complete phonies. And when I see him throwing up gang signs, it's disgusting to me. It is. I wish he didn't perform at it at all.
And the thing is that I'm not saying people can't change their mind.
No, they can't.
I changed mine. I used to be a liberal.
Yeah.
But my point is saying that when you see these people like Amber Rose and you see each other like they are not doing this because they've truly changed. They're doing this because they know, it's like what Greg said and what I was saying earlier, is that for them to be famous, they have to be popular.
Yeah.
Which means the money goes where popularity is. And the instant they saw that map, and they saw that the tide was changing, all of a sudden, these people, you know, they don't mind hearing. Then they lose, and like again, Stephen A., Charlemagne the God. All of them start to change their tune. This is disgusting.
Yeah.
To be quite honest, it's disgusting because you know what? I was watching a video the other day where the girl put up, I believe she's a black conservative, and she wrote in her caption, "It's the hood rats, the black hood rats that are the problem with the black community." I thought to myself, no, it's not. No, it's not just them. It's the ones you think have their sense,
the black excellence,
Oprah, the black and Michelle Obama, right? The black excellence that don't call out Snoop Dogg. They will say all they want to say about Jim Crow and we shall overcome and everything's racist, we need DEI, all of this stuff, but they will never call out gang behavior, which cause death and destruction in the black community. They'll never call out single motherhood. They'll never call out the 30% marriage rate in the black community, which we already know that when black people get married, as far as Thomas Sowell says, is that the poverty for black people goes down to 7%. The instant you get married, because you build wealth with marriage. You don't build it being single. You know what I mean? And so they never call out these things that really hurt the black community. Do I like that he's doing this for Donald Trump or the Donald Trump people? Like, no, I don't. No. But I know Donald Trump, and the thing is that he's going to be accused of not bringing the country together if he doesn't allow these people in. Right. And this is why I can't stand, people like Snoop Dogg, but I also don't feel sorry for these people that feel had. Because how many times do we have to tell you that these celebrities, like Danielle said before, listen to their music, watch their movies, do not get invested in what they say, because they are liable to say anything to stay to worship the Hollywood god.
It makes me mad seeing that though, because I won't be fooled here. My focus is not always on the twerking girl on Instagram. It's not always on the world star ghetto fighting behavior. It's not always that. That's not my main focus. Not always that. They are destruction to the country and to themselves and to their communities. Of course, gangbangers, all that stuff. But what's really disgusting are these celebrities that influence you, whether you like it or not. Celebrities, famous people, they influence culture. And they shape culture. And so when I see people like Kara was saying, the black excellence ones, I'm not only looking at them, say, you know what, I could put those two, the hood rat people acting like ghetto superstars and Oprah Winfrey, to me, are no different. In principle.
Yeah, because later on we're going to show you a video of Jasmine Crockett. Again, going on and on about being black and how we built the world and everything, but yet we can't get our community together. Yeah. Kings and queens, but we're also enslaved by the white man's ideology. You know what I mean? It's those people I care about more than the Cardi B's. I call out the Cardi B's because they're able to go out and change culture, because that is the celebrity's power. The celebrity's power is to change culture from the way you dress to the way that you act. It's no shock that when the Jane Russells were in Hollywood, that every woman looked like a lady. Yeah. When the Dorothy Dandridges were in Hollywood, then all of a sudden women are half naked, 50, 60 years old with plunging necklines down to here, and all of a sudden, just ghetto, trashy female behavior is now popular. Why? Because every woman that's in power is okay with trashy behavior. Yeah. Two reasons why I think that he's doing this. One reason may be that he's on the Diddy list. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, because a lot of them are coming around all of a sudden. But up until recently, he's been calling him a Nazi. Right. And so, or the second one is that the map that Danielle always puts up of how many people voted for Trump clearly shocked a lot of celebrities because their job is built on people liking them and worshiping them. And that might have scared a lot of them because they aren't as popular as that Republican vote shot way up. And for Republicans and blacks, oh no. We're usually not even in single digits for Republicans and blacks. So the seat in double digits and getting up there, like it's, I mean, it's not where it should be at all, by the way. But I'm just saying. We have what? Snoop Dogg, Stephen A., Charlemagne the God. They all called him Hitler. Yeah, they all called his Nazis, and everybody that was black that was following him. We were some bunch of bootlickers and sellouts. And now they're all just rolling over. Yeah. Stephen A.'s rolling over. Charlemagne the God's blaming the Democrats. Yeah. I'm not even mad at the Democrats. I mean, the Republicans anymore because, it's just crazy. And Stephen A., the Democrats are the problem, not the Republicans. I'm not mad at MAGA. The woke liberals, though, are really mad at Snoop Dogg.
Culture check. Did anybody have Snoop performing at Trump's inauguration on their bingo card at all? Because I'm extremely confused about that. Like, I know Trump is like a walking out promoter type, guy, but damn, really? What are we promoting? Like, Snoop, what are you selling? What are you saying? Like, why you even gotta be there? Why you gotta perform? Like, dude, come on. Are you kidding me? Like, Nelly, I mean, that don't really rock me. Lil Wayne absolutely could see that. The Baby, not really. Kanye absolutely expected his MAGA wearing ass to be there. Soulja Boy, he's always about capitalism and money. But Snoop, though? Really?
The woke blacks, they are really mad at Snoop Dogg. And you know what? I agree with them in that he's a liar. But I told you that. Mm-hmm. We've been saying that for the longest. Like, of course they're liars. They get paid by these people to lie.
Y'all didn't see, you guys are such sheep. You didn't see anything wrong with this man hanging out with Martha Stewart all these decades?
Token black men are as follows: Ray J, Soulja Boy, Nelly, Rick Ross, and Snoop Dogg. Y'all all bent over and took it from the back from Trump and his white racist people. Y'all are a disappointment and a disgrace to the black community. Soulja Boy, I can see why he did it. He broke. He ain't got nothing going on with his life. But Rick Ross, you got money. Snoop, you got money. Really think y'all have really separated yourself from the black people that actually support y'all. Because what Trump and the Heritage Foundation is going to do to black people in America is erase us. And you shuck and you jive for them white folks. Snoop, what the happened to you? I can remember when you would never let a white man even talk to you crazy, let alone try to bribe you. That one hurt the most. But like I kept saying, you only black until you reach a certain amount of money. Mm-hmm. And you forget you black, like Lil Wayne. While the black people that support y'all are the ones that's really gonna suffer. Y'all fucking disgrace.
And what makes me mad about that girl? She's sitting there with the bonnet on her head, trying to talk about.
She's a stereotype.
People selling out and making black people look bad, while you're sitting here with a bonnet on your head, doing the exact same thing.
Right.
And don't be afraid because you put your energy and your time into people you don't know.
Right.
Like that. I voted for Trump, but I don't know him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I just want him to do good with the country. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But they just love these people. And the irony in black people is, I find very interesting, particularly liberal black people, is that they want to move up. They talk about how they don't get chances. They want to make money. But the instant someone does make money, then you're only black until you make a certain amount of money, is what she said.
Yeah.
So what do you want, girl? Do you want to be successful? Now, I'm not saying he's doing it the right way, but I'm saying that anytime a black person actually becomes successful, and this is the reason why people like Michelle Obama and them play the black card, is because they're successful. Right. And they know the instant they say the truth, what Don Lemon tried to do on CNN, then they'll be called sellouts. And they don't want black people to call them that. And the people they work for, thrive on black people being ignorant, like that. Like all these black people that you're about to see. And the problem with the black community is the broken families. Yes. Because you're not supposed to be looking up to celebrities. No. You're supposed to have parents that are supposed to raise you.
Forget about
your parents are supposed to be married, and they're supposed to raise you and give you a worldview or a place, the place to begin with. But because our community is so broken, and there's so many little boys and girls coming into one-parent homes, they focus on celebrities. Anything the black celebrities say, that's just gossip.
Yeah, right.
And that's our problem. We don't understand that we are actually the problem. I don't feel sorry for these people. No. And he is also Snoop Dogg's a sellout.
Yeah.
So are a lot of them.
Yeah.
In some of these white ones too.
Nelly and Snoop Dogg have been confirmed to perform at Donald Trump's inauguration. Nelly and Snoop Dogg. When I tell you guys I am not ready for the next 4 years to happen, Trump is not even in office, and it feels like he's been president for 2 years already. In addition to them, Kodak Black, Antonio Brown, and Rod Wave are Trump's guests. At the inauguration. What the fuck is going on? First Lady Elon Musk is moving into the White House. Snoop Dogg, Nelly, Carrie Underwood are performing at the inauguration. Mark Zuckerberg is out here cosplaying a 16-year-old black kid from Harlem with his chain and his afro. The CEO of TikTok is now chummy and on the billionaire Looks like he's in the billionaire syndicate of evil people. Snoop Dogg and Nelly are performing at the fucking inauguration. I'm tired.
I cannot be the only one that's tired of this, man. This is for all my women of color. This is for the men of color that supports us and supports us as a people, not the backpedalers. We tired of y'all playing in our face. And I'm not even talking about the other performers. I'm talking about the black performers. I'm calling all y'all out, especially Snoop Dogg, who been here on Beyonce's internet since 2016, straight giving it to Donald Trump. Saying all this stuff. Donald Trump ain't for us. He pretended he was for us. Then he switched it up when he got himself in a position. You are tone deaf like a motherfucker. I don't want you to come and backpedal upon nobody's internet saying, I was just performing at a thing. Da, 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 da. You shouldn't have been in Washington near his president, this man being sworn into being a president at all. Okay? Period, point blank. You knew this was a bad look and you didn't give a fuck about us. Okay? And at the end of the day, it seems when it comes to your cash and maybe possibly a case, because who knows, they might be trying to diddy bop you in a corner for some stuff you done did. Okay? You will throw us into the eternal fires. And I mean us as a people into the eternal fires. You've very much given Jesse Jackson up on that balcony at the Lorraine Motel back on April 4th, 1968, because we all done heard about how Jesse got down with MLK. On the back end. But I ain't gonna go get too deep with y'all right now. Okay? All I'm saying is that you, the other performers, because there's a list of them, all y'all wrong. But especially you. Especially, I'm holding you accountable. You and Rick Ross are the ones that are most accountable, because out of all the ones that are performing, including Nelly, y'all two got the most money.
Listen, Black people are so lost.
We're lost.
There is just a sprinkle of normal Black people at this point. We are in a state of emergency with Black people.
He played y'all. That's what it is. And you still won't look at Thomas Sowell. You still won't look at Walter Wood, but you will keep celebrating these imbeciles that walk around and make you jump up and be all excited because they say some clever things on a record, on an album. God. You know what I mean? It's pathetic.
Oh, it's so
we are pathetic. We have got to stop. As Black people, we've got to stop doing this. She sounds stupid. She's calling him a sellout with what looks like a weave. She's not even look like she's wearing her own hair, and she's talking about Black people.
But that's another thing.
Not loving themselves.
Even with that, like she's okay. So Black people complain constantly about, we are our own people and we can just do what we want to do. And, we don't need people telling us what to do. And here she is, and many other Black people is telling Snoop Dogg and everybody to behave a certain way. You're telling Black people how to behave. So we're supposed to be a monolith now? Mm-hmm. So when people say Black people are not a monolith, are you sure? Because you're trying to group all of them together. I think that, Snoop Dogg is BS. I think that he's BSing with this whole Trump thing. It's not because he likes Trump. It's something else going on there. But I will say this, that he's allowed to do that if he wants to. I don't care if it's BS or not. He's allowed to do it if he wants to. You're telling him and other Black people that we have to all be on your side. Right. If we are not all Democrat liberals, then we are no longer Black people anymore. No, that's what happens. We've been telling you guys this for years at this point. Once you think outside the box and start to look at people like Thomas Sowell and get educated on something else besides DEI and your Black skin, once you start getting educated on that stuff and learning more about our country and understanding you are an American and you should be proud of that, all of a sudden you become some, sellout, bootlicking, bed wench. This is what you become to these people.
I mean, just admit it already. You want DEI and affirmative action because you don't want to compete.
That's it.
You're afraid of the white man because you think the white man has more skills, and they probably do. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You don't want to leave the country that you call the white man's country. You don't want to see Black people successful because the instant they're successful, then they're sellouts. If they think that if they're conservatives, they're sellouts. But then when you're poor, you don't want to be poor.
Right.
You want the opportunities. We just talked about Michelle Obama. Here's a woman that talks about DE all the time, and then she doesn't show up to what she would consider a white function, being the only black, first lady.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing. This is embarrassing rhetoric.
Yeah. Right.
We sound like buffoon, like a collection of buffoons that don't investigate anything, that don't really look into anything. We just believe whatever is popular at the time, and that is really the biggest problem with us, is that we just collectively do dumb things together.
Yeah. Part of your little DEI grift is the I part, right? Mm-hmm. The inclusion. Where's the inclusion?
You want diversity, but you don't like for black people to have diversity of thought.
You don't want that. It's amazing to me, these people. They're just not, they don't even hear themselves. They're so into their black skin and being black that they're forgetting that they are American.
Snoop Dogg is embarrassing, and so are you.
Yeah. I don't see him as any different than you or any of the other losers out there. I don't see any difference. All I see is a bunch of people complaining now because you worship your god of celebrity. That's your god, because black people have a problem. Look, black people are so into culture. Oh boy, don't get them started with the culture. They don't get right into the culture, but you're so engulfed in the celebrity culture that your celebrity that you bow down to every week, listen to their albums and their movies and all this stuff, you bow down to, well, that person went to another side and is thinking about something else.
And if you dig deeper, you are worshiping celebrity.
You are.
But if you dig deeper, it's really the victimhood. Because if a white celebrity does the exact same thing Snoop Dogg was doing, you would bow down to them too. But they just have to say it. Yeah. And the reason why, again, why you want that victimhood so bad is because I believe Blanchard Robinson was right when he said that black people do not like to compete.
They don't.
We can't compete. And so it's easier to just do this because then we get hoisted to the top and we don't have to actually perform.
Right.
We could just complain our way to the top. And that goes for anybody else who can do that. Women, gay people. And it is very pathetic. It's embarrassing. It also makes it shows exactly why we as a group of people are not as successful as any other race of people in our country.
We've morphed into this loser. These people out here talking about, you need to come on our side. What the hell does that even mean?
What's that mean?
Every other demographic of people, white people, Hispanic people, Asian people, Indian people, it doesn't matter. They are allowed to have different thoughts. Okay, there's a good balance between, Democratic, Hispanic people and Republican Hispanic people. There's a good balance of all these people, right? And they're allowed to think outside the box. White people can be Democratic or Republican. No one's calling each other sellouts or whatever. No one's doing that. The only group of people that you have to remain in the group is a cult is the black people. Black people want you to remain in the Democratic cult. That's what they want you to do. And if you go outside of that, then you are somehow, not black anymore. It's weird. It's weird. It's very strange behavior.
And again, as I've read, come to Christ and I've given my life to the Lord, I realize how bad sin is. And you aren't going to have me lie, because that's a sin.
Right.
Just to perpetuate this stupid narrative that isn't even the reason why we're not successful. It has nothing to do with slavery. It's us. I'm not going to tell a lie just so you feel good about yourself not being successful.
Right. Exactly.
That's a lie. And anybody that's black that does know that and pretends otherwise, you are also a sellout. You are hurting people by doing that. That is not just the ghetto blacks.
Yeah.
It's the ones that you think, Abby, what's her name? It's the ones that you think are educated. And the reason why they're worse is because they make people who don't have education and they make people that worship celebrities. And these people are in really rundown neighborhoods. They make them think it's all right to be this way. They don't correct. They don't tell the truth.
By not speaking about the problems with black people, they are doing a big disservice. They're actually making it worse. And so, again, when you see this working girl on Instagram, that's one thing. But when you see people who have some type of power of influence not calling this out, unfortunately, this is what's going to continue. I'm not saying that celebrities are in charge of everyone's life. I'm not saying that. But they do shape culture. And it is quite interesting to see. And when black people are really into celebrity. They really are into the culture. Really pay attention to all these people, and all you hear is Michelle Obama, talking about black girl magic, and we can do anything, and Oprah Winfrey, not being married, and they're just gonna imitate that stuff. It's really
I'm not attached to my blackness that way.
I'm not.
And the reason why is because I think it's dangerous. If you get attached to something just simply because you're of a certain race, or even if you're a woman, and they try to get you into feminism, you can destroy yourself by just going along to get along because I'm black and they're black, and I guess we could just go ahead and say that. You know what I mean? No. When you go to school and you get education, they're supposed to be teaching you the means that you are privileged. You're privileged you get to go to college.
Yeah.
But then if you use that degree and then you go on television or you become a CEO or something, and then all you do is spew this same propaganda that you can get in the neighborhoods.
You didn't do nothing.
Then you haven't done anything but keep black people corralled in a little bubble where they don't get to expand their mind. Because some of these people, like a lot of those TikTokers that we saw, those are not young people. Some of those people are 30. Right. For you should be a little bit broad. Your mind should be more expanded than that. But they are probably thought the same way since they were 12 to the time they're 30, 40, 50. They don't think at all.
Because the culture of black people is what's most important to most black people. It's not anything outside of that. When I started being conservative, or really looking at the Republican side of things, and just looking at this, my worldview. When I started really looking at that biblically as well, not just with politics, just because politics is interesting because it's like to me, it's more like a side note to the real spiritual part of who I am, right? So I'm all about God, but there is a certain part of it where I started to realize, even in my liberal mind, I started to realize that I'm paying too much attention to the fact that I am a black person and black people need to, we need to band together. And I've always maintained this, though. I do believe, and especially since I've become conservative, I do think black people's biggest problem is that they don't see themselves as American. And I've always felt, in the past few years, that it's been a huge problem, with people, when you, for instance, calling yourself African American, because you are hyphenating yourself from your own country, because you're putting African first, by the way, not American first. You know what I mean? And so I feel like we have a big problem with not viewing ourselves as American, and because of that, it makes us like idols to our skin, and we can't see outside of that. So it's my theory that if we can see ourselves as American and not just and not just black people in America necessarily, just American people, I think the weight will be lifted off of black people's minds. But I think that there's such a cult, it's become such a cult of thought that black people have, that we can't think outside the fact that we're black, and we're black in this country treats us bad, and we had 400 years of this, and this is how, we can't get out of it.
I mean, even when Jim Jones did what was his thing? We drank the Kool-Aid.
Oh yeah, sorry.
The People's Temple.
Yeah.
Okay, so the reason why he was trying to do, basically social justice in a church, and he was able to corral a lot of black people, a lot of black people, and get them all the way to another country just to kill themselves. Yeah. And why is that? Because he focused on race, and black people. The instant a white person stands up and denounces themselves, and to them looks like they're humbling themselves, just to still be on top and take control of all the people. It's a death cult. It always turns out that way. And many years ago, I was listening to Dennis Prager. He was talking about Bernie Sanders. And I remember watching Jimmy Dore, and one of the reasons why Jimmy Dore likes Bernie Sanders, because Bernie Sanders has been the same now as he was when he was a teenager. You can see Bernie Sanders getting arrested, and he's, all for social justice, and he was, everybody's racist. He was one of those 60s, sort of revolutionaries, like a Nikki Giovanni, and Dennis made a good point that I never thought about, because a lot of people think that when someone doesn't change, that they're real. But what he was trying to say is that when people, he said when you are a teenager, and then you get to be blessed to be age 70 or 80, and you still think the way you did when you were a teenager, you become an old fool. Because as you grow, you're supposed to grow, not just physically, but mentally. Wiser.
Yeah.
But if you are still the same person when you're 10, as you were when you're 13, as you are when you're 23, you're 27, you're 50, you're still thinking that same way, well, then you are really putting yourself in a bubble to be controlled. And, I have to say that I do think that that's what's happening with the Black community, is that we don't expand.
No,
we complain and we remain, and we have been this way since we shall overcome. Remember on the Jeffersons, the very first Jeffersons, where Florence gets hired, and she was hired, then she was fired because they hired another maid, and she noticed that George was owned this apartment, and then that the Willises, what's her name, Helen, also lived in that apartment, in this apartment in the sky. And their last thing that she said before she left is like, well, when do we overcome it? She's like, and nobody told me.
But there's just one thing. Do you folks mind if I ask you something?
No, go right ahead.
You live in this apartment, right?
Uh-huh.
And you got an apartment in this building too?
Yes, that's right.
Well, how come we overcame and nobody told me?
Right.
And this is what happens because Black rich people keep poor Blacks in line with the continued lie so they can grow and go up in status.
And then white liberals keep Black people in line by regurgitating those same narratives that were going on in the Jim Crow and slavery. They make movies about it. They constantly are keeping us trying to keep us in this very oppressed, you're a victim, and you're owed, and it's done is made us crybabies and entitled at the same time. It's all it's made us do. And we're still doing it. Like, you can see these TikTokers, like, they're still they I don't even know if they believe what they're saying. They're just regurgitating what they know to say. And so now, so people are like, now I'm seeing there's a lot of Black people waking up. I know a lot of you guys say in our comments, it's nice to see a lot of Black people starting to wake up, and see things. And I'm not disagreeing with you on that. I actually do agree with you that. I mean, it's not like a ton, but there's quite a few Black people are starting to be like, wait a minute. And it's kind of an interesting thing when something happens where your mind flips, and for me, it was really Barack Obama, because I realized that he didn't do much in that first term. And so I'm like, well, what was he there for? And then when I started
there to cause trouble.
Yeah. And so when I started to research Barack, I didn't vote for him the second time, because I started to research him, and I'm like, his cabinet was selected through an email
by banks,
by bank people, and so he didn't even select those people; they were selected for him. So I thought, oh, he's just a puppet too. Okay, I see what's happening here. I need to really look at what I'm voting for, what I'm supporting. And then what happens when you do that, you start to look at other platforms, and then what happened was a Republican platform. Now here's the part of it that it's the sure brainwashing of just like me, because it never dawned on me to even look at the Republican Party, even when I didn't want to be a Democrat anymore. I was looking at Libertarian, the Green Party. I still, even knowing that I didn't want to be a Democrat anymore, it didn't even dawn on me to look at another side and think about something different. And it just turns out the Republican, all of my life, I have actually been a Republican. I just wasn't, like all of my principles and my everything that I've done in my life all aligns, all of my life, even being a Democrat, it all aligned with Republican beliefs. And,
my beliefs haven't changed.
No.
Over the years, I've always
just
kind of believed the way I believe, but I just didn't have it. I mean, because if you think about it, the genius in it all is that they make sure, like, the people that they put in front of the Democratic Party, people we kind of look like we can respect. So even if you look on television, you look at something like The Cosby Show, they're Democrats.
Yeah.
Cliff Huxtable, and they're Democrats. Yeah. They'll never say, even though, they'll make us, like Daniel said, not even think to look at Republicans, because we respect Felicia Rashad. We respect, Michelle Obama. We respect Oprah. We respect these people because they're iconic Black people. We respect Martin Luther King. You can't say there are Republicans who are afraid to say anything bad about Martin Luther King even if they think it's true.
Right.
You know what I mean? We respect these people, and it never even dawns on us as a black person to look into some of these things. It never dawns on us. We don't even care. We'll just continually spew on propaganda because we don't want to open up our mind. And like Dennis said, we are going to be old fools. We're going to get to the end of our life, and we're not going and give another generation the same propaganda that the kids from the 60s got.
Right.
It doesn't change. We move up, we become presidents, we become mayors, we become police chiefs, we become all of this stuff, but it doesn't matter. It's still racist. No matter how far we go up in the chain, no matter how much money we make. No matter how much our celebrity, when we become president of the United States, all of these things, first lady, the first black first lady, we can go to Harvard and they will never, ever, ever stop talking about racism because poor blacks look at it as a reason. Poor blacks look at it as something that they can use to explain why they're not successful. Yeah. Rich black people use it so that they can use it in the business to catapult themselves to the top without working hard. So they need Roland Martins, and they need like those people because they make it, they spew it out so that when they're in the court, after you get that degree, you'll be able to jump to the top because all you have to do is say that everything's racist. And then most white companies will just move you up.
Yeah. You
really think Ketanji Brown Jackson really got into merit, or did she get in because Joe Biden said exactly what he said? I was going to put a black woman in there. Right. Not that she's a good black woman, that she happens to be black.
Right. Now we have no physical chains. We have no physical kind of armor on us. We don't have anybody whipping us and doing all these things that we know that happened in the history of, our country. We don't even have that anymore, but we are behaving like we do. We don't have it anymore. We're free. We're free. But the thing is that, Blanchard Robinson says this pretty much on a daily, right? That he's not black, he's free. Right. And okay, so that's offensive to most black people because they don't get it because black people are so addicted to their color that they can't get past and they can't see deeper.
He said when you wake up in the morning and you call yourself black, you lie.
Yeah.
Because you're not black.
And so when he says that though, black people that are offended by that don't have the ability to even see deep in what he's saying. Because if you break down what he's saying is that when black people, the majority of black people in our country, are so addicted to their skin color and they idolize their skin so much so to the point of that they feel entitled for things, or maybe not even entitled. Sometimes they feel like victims. It depends. Just depends on what kind of black person you are. But it's always about your skin tone. It's always about your skin, the melanin in your skin. And so when he says, I'm not black, I'm free, clearly the man knows what his skin looks like. It's not about that. It's about spiritually what you're thinking. What you're thinking is that I am, my skin is my God. And so I'm going to bow to that and nothing else. And so I am black, and that is really where it ends for me. It begins and ends that I'm black. There's nothing outside of that. There's no other, parts of you that are interesting. Just that you're black. That's it.
My blackness is not the most unique thing to my life. It's not. I had a whole life. A whole life. I've had a whole life. You know what I mean? And believe me, the blackness is not the most interesting thing about me. And it's just so interesting to me is that black people worship Martin Luther King. But if you go to every city where there's a Martin Luther King Boulevard, road, it's all bad neighborhoods and a lot of crime. The man stood for nonviolence. And everywhere you go, no matter what city you go to, it is the worst neighborhood.
It is.
It just is. And it just goes to show you that, again, it's because we have groupthink. We think all the same.
I did a video recently with Shelby Still on Shelby's. I'll link it above if you guys haven't seen the video. But, Shelby Still. And someone in the comments, black person in the comments said he's nothing but a coon. They call him a coon.
Yeah.
Right? And I thought, this guy just said a bunch of things in that particular video we did. His own words. He was explaining to black people why you are, free. And you can do and be anything you want. And you can also be a victim if you want. Which is what black people do. And all you came up with was that he's a coon. It's amazing that these brilliant people are saying things that are dynamic and can really change the trajectory of your life. Not I'm not talking about politics. I'm talking about just in life, your life. And you choose to take that moment to call someone a coon because he is thinking differently. He thought differently. And because he thought differently, that led to success for him. It led to no outside kids. It led to him having a beautiful wife and a nice home and you know, a spiritual, you know, he's a spiritual being. So I'm like, it's interesting to me how black people think. If we don't think the same, you are a sellout.
Yeah, there was a wonderful part of Uncle Tom where Clarence, the second one where Clarence Thomas was talking about when he was in college, and one night, it was in the 60s, and one night they decided to do a riot. And he did the riot. He said, I came home and I thought, why did I just do that? This was a black man in his moment thought, why did I just do that? Yeah. And that's what he said. I don't know why I just did that. I don't know why I did that. And he did that because he was coaxed by other black people who were telling him how to think and what to do. Yeah. And this man is now Supreme Court. Yeah. So good thing he didn't really take that in. With that. And I think he had that moment in life where he had to rethink, well, I've had that moment too. Most black conservatives have had that moment where they thought, well, I'm done dealing with the losing end of listening to groupthink of a bunch of people who were talking about slavery where they weren't slaves, and being mad at white people who weren't slave owners, who most people today didn't even live through Jim Crow. And so, look, you can keep pretending like the world's coming down on you because of Snoop Dogg. And I hope that this keeps happening to you. I hope that these hypocrites, that we've been calling hypocrites from the beginning, Snoop Dogg is one of them, that they show their true face so that you can realize that all of this propaganda from Snoop Dogg to Barack Obama is all propaganda to keep you exactly where you are.
Let us know what you think. Leave some comments below, and yeah, we'd like to hear your thoughts.